I checked my screen time yesterday and I'd spent hours on YouTube without watching a single full video, just scrolling. And the worst part is, I couldn't remember a single thing I saw. If you've ever closed an app, then opened the exact same app 2 seconds later, like some kind of digital zombie, this is for you. So here's the thing, we all know doomscrolling is bad for us. We've read the articles, we've promised ourselves we'll stop. And yet the average person touches their phone 2,617 times a day, which is a crazy number, but it's not actually your fault. Well, not entirely. The game was rigged before you even started playing. Let me take you back to 2006. If you wanted to browse more content on a website, you had to click to the next page. Remember that? There was friction involved. There was a moment where your brain could go, okay, maybe that's enough. But then Asa Raskin invented infinite scroll. He was an engineer, and by his own admission, he helped design something that's now costing humanity roughly 200,000 human lifetimes every single day. He didn't mean to, and that's the dark irony. He thought it was making things more convenient, and technically it did. It's obviously more convenient to scroll than to click. But that convenience removed the only speed bump between us and digital quicksand. I'm going to be real with you. I don't have this figured out. I do barely use social media though. I've got YouTube, I've got a TikTok account I made when I started this channel, and that's it. But I still catch myself in these loops where I'm scrolling through YouTube shorts at 11 PM and my eyes are burning. I get that weird brain fog settling in and I'm thinking, why can't I just stop? It's that same feeling as what I mentioned at the start of the video. Time just disappears and you're left feeling like your brain's been put through a blender. If this sounds familiar, you're not broken. Your attention span isn't destroyed. What's happening is that you're fighting against a system designed by some of the smartest behavioral psychologists and engineers in the world, optimized with AI, that literally learns your patterns before you know them yourself. Let me show you some actual data on this because it's surprisingly alarming. So the average Gen Z person receives over 200 notifications per day on their phone, but that's the thing. It's not the notifications that kill you. It takes 23 minutes and 15 seconds to fully refocus after a distraction. So if you're getting interrupted every hour, you're literally never reaching deep focus. And the algorithm, it's not just showing you what you like. It's showing you what keeps you angry, what keeps you anxious, what keeps you scrolling essentially. Apparently, TikTok's recommendation algorithm tracks over 1,000 data points about you. It knows when you're most vulnerable, when you're tired, when you're stressed. And that's when it serves you the most addictive content. For me personally, the worst part isn't even the time lost. It's how I feel afterwards. That brain fog that I mentioned previously, that's real. There's actual research showing that information overload, which is exactly what doom scrolling is, increases cortisol levels and creates the same mental fatigue as decision fatigue. Your brain is literally trying to process hundreds of context switches in minutes. And we're bombarded with information constantly. Like even when I try to disconnect, I'll open my phone to check the time and somehow end up watching a video about something that happened halfway across the world that I couldn't do anything about anyway. Now I know someone's going to say, well, it's good to stay informed. And yes, you're right. But there's a difference between staying informed and drowning in content that makes you feel helpless. That's not information. That's just anxiety with a feed. And here's the thing. This whole system isn't some evil conspiracy. It's just capitalism doing what capitalism does. Optimizing for engagement because engagement equals money. Facebook's own internal research showed that content that makes people angry gets 5 times more engagement than content that makes people happy. So the algorithm doesn't really care if you close the app feeling worse about yourself and the world. It only cares that you spent 47 minutes there instead of 12. Another important point is that the algorithm knows that you're more likely to keep scrolling when you're in a negative emotional state. So anxiety keeps you looking for a resolution that never comes. It's a loop. You feel bad, you scroll for distraction. The content makes you feel worse, so you keep scrolling to feel better. Rinse and repeat until it's 2 AM and you have work in 5 hours. And before someone says just delete the apps, I get it. But that's not realistic for most people. Some of us need these platforms for work, for staying in touch with people, for creative outlets. The answer isn't digital monk mode. I think it's more about building friction back into the system. So let me give you some stuff that's actually helped me, because I didn't want to make this video all doom and gloom. First is phone-free zones. Not times, but zones. For example, for me, I try to keep my phone in a separate room when I'm eating. It sounds basic, but when your phone isn't within arm's reach, you'd be surprised how much the urge fades. You're not trying to fight the addiction with willpower in the moment. You're designing your environment so the battle never happens. Second is no news on the weekends at all. The world's not going to end if you don't know what happens for 48 hours. And honestly, when I check in on Monday, I realized that 90% of what I would have stress scrolled about was either exaggerated or didn't matter anyway. The important stuff will still be there. Third is to turn off all notifications except calls and texts from actual humans. Everything else can wait. The emails, likes, comments, it's not urgent. What is urgent is reclaiming those 23 minutes of focus time. Fourth, this one's weird, but it does work. Before you open an app, decide what you're opening it for. So almost like being intentional. You can even literally say it out loud if you need to. I'm opening YouTube to watch so-and-so video. If you can't finish the sentence, don't open it. That one moment of intention is sometimes enough to break the autopilot. Now granted, this isn't going to fix everything. We have to be realistic. There's going to be days where you find yourself scrolling for 2-3 hours. It happens to me, it will probably happen to you. The point isn't about perfection. It's just tilting the odds back in your favor a little bit. Because here's the reality. These companies have billion-dollar budgets and teams of neuroscientists working to keep you scrolling. You're one person with a tired brain and a phone in your pocket. That's not a fair fight. But the way I think of it, at least, is you can try to make it slightly less unfair. So remember those hours I spent scrolling at the beginning of the video. That's precious time I could have spent actually doing something I'd remember. I could have learned something, created something, or even just stared at the ceiling and let my brain rest from all the external noise. The algorithm doesn't want us to remember, it wants us to scroll, but we deserve to actually be present in our own lives. So here's my challenge. Pick one of the solutions I mentioned and try it for 1 week, and then come tell me in the comments if it's helped or not. Because maybe if enough of us start building friction back into these systems, we can take back some of that time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.